we don't really know where the world is gonna go. But now everybody knows that you can't stop for too long. Got to keep. But now everybody knows. Got to keep.
You don't have to be retired to receive tax-free income. The problem is the vehicles that we've been conditioned to believe to help get us there were never designed to produce income.
Got to keep going. What you want to be going, you will see. It's your destiny, be in harmony. We were never meant to be apart. What you want to be going, you will see. You can have everything you want. It's your destiny, be in harmony. Ooh.
If you had a machine in your garage and all you had to do was put a quarter in it and it printed out $100, a quarter in it, printed out $100, would you ever stop that machine from running?
But now everybody knows.
So what if you use that job that you hate as leverage to fill your machine so they can create income for you, so you don't have to worry about income?
We know where the world is gonna go. But now everybody knows that you can't stop for too long. Got to keep going.
Good evening. Get in here. Tonight we are so excited to share this story with you. Now we've covered this before, but it was quite a while ago, and we're kind of touching on one of the biggest, heaviest questions that we get when people book a call, and that is like, how do I get my spouse on board? I'm learning all of this stuff. I'm now wanting to, we ask all the time, what's the goal? I'm now wanting to define what my goal is, but unfortunately, my partner is not on board and we may have different goals. And how easy is it to achieve a goal, especially for your family, financial freedom, if you're both not on the same page, right? So if you're struggling to talk about money with your spouse, you're in the right place. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. And you're not alone, as 50% of people do. And that's crazy, right? Financial discussions can be a major source of stress and conflict in relationships, but they don't have to be. What if we told you that there was a way to ease the stress and finally build a strong and secure financial future together? Well, that's what we're covering and we're walking through tonight. So tonight we're going to focus on how to have successful money talks with your spouse, a crucial step for achieving financial literacy and freedom. We know that financial literacy is it isn't just about budgeting. It's about understanding where your leverage is and how to use it effectively. But the problem is, if you first can't see it, you have to be able to see it first, right? And there's no bigger obstacle that clouds achievements than not being able to be on the same page as your partner. We know that. This is very true. We've had this experience.
Living examples.
Yeah, that was our story. And what you're about to learn is how we fixed that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome. So, not a lot. Everything we do is solely based on what it is we actually do. And so in most lives, we weave in I'll call it natural approach to things, or some of the things we've worked through, or what it is we've learned into examples. And tonight it's really about how we kind of came to those conclusions, what we actually did. Tonight is not about anyone else, I would say, in anyone else's situation. This is kind of how we actually work through things. And what we're not here to do is tell you what to do.
Yeah, for
What
sure.
we're just sharing with you what we're currently doing or what we have done. And hopefully that might spark a thought or spark maybe a different perspective. Maybe you can take something away from here like, you know what? I can't approach things that way, but maybe there's a different approach that I can take based off, what it is we've shared. So I'm pretty excited about today because this is somewhat unique, I'd say as well, because we haven't spent a live kind of just breaking down our own personal situations. That's somewhat unique.
This is probably the most important thing. And what I want to tie this into for everyone who's watching, who has watched any of our content, who has gotten value from any of the strategies that we've shared, is all of the strategies that we have learned, all of the results and achievements that we have are a result of the work we're about to show you. It wasn't that we just happened upon strategies. We had to first be of the mindset to be able to be open to learning new things first and foremost, and
Right.
then be willing to do some really difficult things. Some of those were addressing what we believed, right? Was possible for ourselves, what we believed was true or untrue based off of what we thought the path needed to look like, and how big we set our goals. Like all of this that you're seeing is a result of this work. And that's why it is, I find like this is probably the most important stream that you could land in on or watch, because we are talking about the thing that holds most people back, even if they have all the right information, right? Even if they've heard it all before, even if they've learned it, they know it, they could teach it themselves, but they've never done it. And this is probably the most important stream of all of the strategies that we teach in terms of achieving financial freedom, in terms of personal finance. This one particular thing, having these discussions and being able to have productive discussions inside of your household and your partnership, whether you're married or not, it doesn't matter. This could be somebody who, this could be your parent that you're having these conversations with, right? This could be a kid, a cousin, a sister.
Yeah, this definitely isn't limited to a couple or husband and wife or whatever the case may be. This is really kind of peeling back some of the layers as to the root of how we as individuals approached these things. And regardless of who you're having that conversation with, it could be a friend, a student, a child, a parent. I don't think that part matters. It's understanding the work that you have to do as the individual to kind of step outside yourself and be accountable for your actions, right?
Yep. All right. So you ready to jump in?
Sure.
Let's do it.
So, and as mentioned, we talk about a lot of things, but today is kind of more focused on uh, this piece of the triangle where we're going to focus here. It's the right knowledge, the right vehicle. We talk about providing the right knowledge or talking through what are those knowledge-based things we need to learn in order to be able to take action. We share a lot of the different vehicles that we currently use today to be able to accomplish our goal. But today is kind of really about it hinges upon you. It hinges upon, where you are, what place you're in. And especially, man, when you're trying to head down a path on your own and you've got this counterpart, whether it's a friend, a business partner, a spouse, a sister, brother, doesn't matter. It's kind of difficult when it almost feels like you're out here by yourself. So I think that's kind of what we're digging into today.
Yep.
And, you kind of hinted, I think, at some of the statistics. Let me go up some.
No, I'll pull us down. There we
Okay.
go.
You kind of hinted to some of the statistics around 44% of couples avoid discussing their financials in general in its entirety, which is huge.
Yeah.
And when you kind of lay out the reasons for divorce, this kind of lays in there second, right?
Yeah, but
Um,
they said the study that I was reading said that it was listed more challenging than talking about death, religion, or politics.
right.
Just talking about money. It's crazy, but it makes sense, right? And there's a reason why this is so taboo and why people think no different than like asking a woman her age, right? Like, clutch my pearls. Why would you do that? It's talking about money is the same. Is it held in the same regard in society, right?
Right. And in addition to that, 48% of couples argue about money. You know anything about that?
Yeah, well, that was definitely us. And there's a reason why. That's what we're actually going to unpack is the reason why, because 90% of those arguments could be avoided. And that's what we learned is there was so much time wasted arguing about things when the truth was we both wanted to be able to achieve. And that was some of the frustration was we had goals. We had an idea of what winning and success looked like, but we weren't doing it because we weren't able to do it together, right? So we were kind of working against each other, not having these conversations or being able to have these conversations. And a lot of couples find themselves in this situation. A lot of families find themselves in this situation, especially when you're trying to have a conversation about building a family bank, right? This is
Right.
where this will come in handy. Yeah. And we have some tools too that we're going to introduce that we've got that you can download and print and take these into the conversations that you'll have.
And it reminds me of the fact that I asked for you, and it's one of those things where be careful what you ask for, because
Mm,
what the last thing I want is someone who thinks, responds, behaves like me. Well, understand what comes along with that. If they don't think, behave, respond like me or like you, then what that means is when you're communicating, it may be very difficult to receive that communication. It may be very difficult to understand where it is you're coming from, which means you actually have to work harder, right?
yeah. Well, touche. I mean, the same here.
Right?
Yeah.
so,
Golly.
so, but what if we told you talking about money could actually bring you closer, right?
Yeah.
And in addition, we only know this based off what it is we actually do, meaning this is solely based off our own experience. And at that root,
Yeah.
in order to kind of identify what that looks like, we have to dig into a few things. Like, what's the reason? Why is that? And we have to also be clear as to what tonight is and what it isn't. And
Yeah.
sweetheart, you want to jump in there?
Yep. So what this ain't that, okay? Welcome to This Ain't That. What this is an opportunity to open the door to a conversation. You gonna circle some stuff for me since I
Yeah,
can't circle
gotcha,
it?
gotcha,
Okay.
babe.
Okay. It's an opportunity to have this conversation, and it's our story, it's our personal experience. So this is how we're just speaking from our experience. Not only are we speaking from our experience, though, we are speaking from watching this happen with other couples. Being able to ask the right questions can unlock doors that you thought were sealed shut. And those are the keys. And so we found that by learning and by being willing to keep hunting for the keys, that the doors that were unlocked were their own achievement. And
Right.
they were achievements in themselves. That's the best way I can describe it. And we've seen this happen for other people. We've seen it happen on calls with Donnell, even just in a few questions. So if that can be that powerful, imagine if you were willing to do this long term, right? And what this is not therapy or professional or mental health advice. This is not addressing what happened and why you have the results that you have in your life. This is not a shaming stream. This is not some tactic to use on your spouse to win a fight, or there should be a space there, my bad,
Sorry.
or be proven right. And it's not a pitch for a course that will teach you how to win a fight with your spouse when arguing about money. So now that we've got that out of the way,
Yep. So what is it
and
though?
and I'm making him work with putting the board like this. So hey, bear with us here. Yeah. So, like we said, 44% of couples avoid discussing finances completely. And this is just a statistic, but it doesn't matter because you don't want to be a statistic, right? I think a lot of people think, oh, that's normal. A lot of people don't want to talk about money. So it's okay that we don't want to talk about money. That's okay. Even in some therapy or some groups, they'll say, hey, just don't talk about it, right? If that's what keeps the peace, if that's what makes a healthy household, if you want to make those rules for your household, then that's okay to do it. And there are many ways to 10, but I can tell you right now that 70% of people who claim to have a happy and healthy marriage, truly happy and healthy marriage, talk about money. And that's a fact. So why do they not talk about money? Well, in order to understand, we have to go all the way back to the beginning of our relationship with money. And this was actually a course that we took called Money in Your Mind. And we've talked about this a couple of times, but we had to go all the way back in this class to talk about our first relationship with money. The reason why this is so important is because this is where the seed was first planted, right? This is where the roots grow from. And at first we were like, oh, okay, this sounds sweet, that this is the exercise. But it wasn't until we unpacked this exercise that we were like, holy cow, we can see how these seeds have propagated everywhere. They have taken over our crops, if you will, and it is insane. You can't even tell what's a weed or what would be a flower at this point. They're all weeds from these seeds. And this was the part for us. This was a defining moment in what we believed about money and our relationship with pursuing financial freedom.
And this was so, it's funny. We were experiencing a lot of the self development that we had gone through. We experienced it separately. And then we came back to kind of discuss it. And then there were moments where we went or experienced as a couple.
Mm,
And I think this programming piece is so significant because, I think one of the takeaways that I had taken was, we are all this glass filled with these contents,
mm-hmm.
and we all assume that these contents might be God given, or these contents might be just who we are. You know what? I was born this way. When in
Mm-hmm.
truth, a lot of these contents were provided to us by someone who may not have really known what it is they were pouring into us.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
and when you realize that, and you realize because I am this vessel, I am this vehicle that has these contents in it, I actually have the power to pour it out. And
Yes.
that's a huge, huge step. But you first have to acknowledge that one, you're a vessel, you're a vehicle, and the contents that you have in it were actually provided to you, given
Yeah.
to you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And we get to choose now. We're adults, so we get to choose. And
And that's,
that's
I think that other part around we are adults. That's that accountability part, because we can spend a lifetime blaming others, because a
right.
lot of the contents that we have inside of this vessel weren't given to us, nor did we ask for it. And we
Right.
can point fingers all day long, or we can step back and go, you know what? I can pour this out. It is okay if I stop right here and eliminate the contents of this glass and refill it, relearn, re-understand, re-educate myself around what it actually means to be able to move forward.
Yeah. Some of this is just the people where you came from, right?
Right, right,
Like I remember when we first started posting on social media and stuff, it was crazy to think how I was so concerned with what people would think who lived in our area, right? Like people I went to high school with or whatever, like for some reason that was my scope of people on the internet, right? Like that was how small my world was just the people that I knew or knew of. I wasn't even thinking about people that I'd never met before. And that was very limiting. Like mentally, I had to overcome some of those challenges. But even when we assign what we're capable of, oftentimes we also include what were the people around us capable of,
right,
right?
right,
Who made it the highest? And if nobody really got completely up and out, then we probably say, well, that's the bar. That's
right,
about what I could do,
right.
right? Yeah. And it's scary to go out. So all of our programming gets all twisted up in there, right? That's what the point of that blue line is. It gets all twisted up, and it's all of a product of how people around us coped with their relationship with money, as we were saying, the amount of control or influence we believed we did or did not have. This is so key. And then what we believe we are supposed to believe, even if we see that proof that the belief is flawed. Even if we see other people are able to achieve it, why is it that we don't believe we can achieve it, right? There's a reason why.
Right.
And then that goes to what we think is normal. So what Donnell's normal was different than what my normal was, and what he believed was possible was completely different from what I believed was possible. Yet what our idea of success was, and our words were saying like, yeah, let's be successful together. Let's
Right.
have a successful life. But we didn't know what each other even meant by that, right?
Right.
Truly.
Because it doesn't mean that we didn't want the same goal. It just meant that our paths to get there looked different because we were both coming from different places of understanding.
Right. Yeah. And here's a twist I'll throw in there. Even though your kids were raised in your household, their perspectives on what is possible or not possible will also vary. We make
Right.
a lot of assumptions as parents, but then when we learn how they processed all that information and what they, what their programming is, and then we have to realize that crap, we programmed them, right? We were
Right.
part of
It's our
that.
fault. Right.
Yeah.
It's our fault. And that's that accountability piece. And again, well, we're kind of running into this right now. It's educating our kids around they're they are a vessel. They're contents in a glass, and some of the stuff that we put in that glass, they need to pour out,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And it's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard.
and then identifying that, because this is what you're actually battling. It's the beliefs. And if you can't catch them, right? If you can't catch what those beliefs are to say, "Up, that's one I'm trying to get rid of." If you don't see it, it just takes over, and then it's taken over a conversation, it's taken over an argument, it has taken over a month or a year, right?
Right. And the truth behind that is whether you can or you can't, it doesn't even matter because you're right.
Yeah.
Like what it is you truly believe about yourself is the part that matters. And I think one of the hurdles that I still struggle with to this day, because if you would have told me these things when I was going through them, I would have told you were lying. And that is um, a lot of my hesitation to even get out on this platform was rooted in something other than a belief system that was just really rooted in fear. It was me being afraid. I would have told you, nah, social media is for someone else. No one wants to hear what it is. I have a litany of excuses around why I should not be on this platform and why there isn't a place for me on this platform, when at the core, it is what I believed about myself. And you would have never told, like I would have never believed that had we not done the work around peeling back some of the layers to understand what's at the root.
Yeah. But it really is a lot of beliefs. And so what are beliefs? You want to keep
Yep.
going?
Yep.
They are justified, more like justified opinions or self-truths. You have to scroll in so they can see that part.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I'm getting there, babe.
That we defend, right? Because there are truths, because it's part of our identity. And this is so key, because if we can't identify as belonging to our goal, there's so many decisions that have to be made along the way, and habits that have to either be removed or added in order to have that success. But a lot of the time we're defending who we believe we are will sabotage results. And this is a subconscious thing. This is not something that says, you know what I'm going to do today? I don't want those results. I'm going to sabotage those results. That is not something people even think about. It just happens. And this is all happening on a subconscious level, which is where the triggers come from, right? These are all buttons that were installed by other people that we don't know we don't know which wire to cut, right? To uninstall the button, or there's no instructions on how to uninstall these buttons. We just know that they are there, and we don't like people to push them.
Right.
The process that we have gone through over this past 10 years, I don't know how long it's been, long time. Okay. It's been a commitment. The process that we're still going through too, because it's a journey, is learning how to disassemble, or what's the word?
Disconnect.
Uninstall. Yeah. Disconnect those triggers, or they are just completely, it doesn't matter if somebody pushes them, because they don't work anymore. And a lot of it has to do with how we identify, and what we identify with, and what we're willing to defend. It also prevents us from identifying in as the result, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that's the part. And so that's why we must first seek to understand. And this is really difficult, because we want to be understood, but it's really hard sometimes to understand. Rose said, and I love this comment, because I'm with you, Rose. I feel like you many ways to 10, many ways to communicate. She says, sometimes writing a letter allows the receiver to listen and the writer to be heard.
Yeah, it's funny how interpret what I hear in that comment is also interpretation, right?
Yeah.
And it goes back to be careful what you ask for, because I may receive information differently in written form or in word. So, finding that vehicle, or that right communication vehicle, so that that message can get across the way it was meant to be received.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, this, I wish I could say all you got to do is, right? All you got to do is this stuff. This stuff is hard, guys. This is not easy. And if you don't have a framework or people to support you, this part right here, seeking to understand, it's hard when you are both speaking different languages. So even to the point you were just making, if I were to write something down and I'm like, well, now there's no emotion, there's no, cutting each other off type of thing. All of my feelings are here for you to receive. And whatever perspective you had when you read that could have assigned a different meaning, right? And
That's
so
it.
now I'm not understood at all. The desire to be understood sometimes means we're going to go to other people to talk to them about it, right?
Right.
But if those people don't have the results that you are looking for, those people have not done the work, then their advice might lean more towards your comfort zone, more towards how you were identifying right before with what your limiting beliefs and the things that you thought you could achieve, your worth, whether or not you were valuable on YouTube or not, right? Like all of
Right.
those things that we assign ourselves, that they would say, yeah, of course, like nobody wants to go and be on video. They would support that, right? They might speak more to that and help it make it harder for you to make the moves towards your goals. We just had to cut a lot of people out because they didn't understand the work that we were trying to do. They did not understand what was required in order to get where we wanted to go, but they felt very entitled and very strongly about their opinions if they had access to what we were experiencing, right?
Well, and let's be very specific because, again, a lot of those people who installed those buttons or a lot of those people who poured into you as that vessel feel entitled to have that opinion. And so you're right. It was I'm sorry, I'm headed down a different path. And so in some cases, there was a cutoff. There was a removal of so that you can, effectively be able to, chart your own course.
Okay. Um, we're doing an unskippable side quest right now. We just need to unpack this one thing real quick because this is so important. Who you hang around with and who you talk about money to, you are also talking to their beliefs about money. So if there's someone around you you would love for them to come with you, but if they don't want to and they're somehow challenged by where you're trying to go, it is it's super important, like imperative, that you note this down and you remove this person. Maybe a 10-foot pole. I'm not saying you have to completely cut all ties with them, but you need to remove them out of the space that where they have influence or they can speak to or they have access to what it is you're doing. There are a lot of people who benefit from where you are right now. Sometimes it's just benefiting because they don't want to do the work to grow. So you're just proving to them that it's okay to be comfortable where you are. It's okay to say that's not possible for us, because if you start saying that it's possible for you, it's going to make them feel uncomfortable because that makes it seem like it might be possible for them, but they're not willing to do the work. So they will do anything to bring you back down so that they can feel better about themselves and what it is that they're doing, because they benefit from you being where you are. Here's an example of that. You have time for your friends right now. You might go hang out on the weekends and spend time, sports, whatever it is that you do with your friends, and this is not helping you achieve your goals, and you decide this is something I'm going to take off my plate because I'm going to reallocate my time so that I can achieve my goals. Why? Because they are not tied to your outcome. They're not. Whether you pay off your house early, whether you increase leverage, whether or not you have enough cash flow to reach your goals, it doesn't matter, because what their finances are their finances and your finances are your finances. And we don't talk about money, right? We don't talk
Right.
about money with our friends. We don't talk about money with their family. And so therefore you don't know what's going on in their life and they don't know what's going on in yours. And everybody's happy that way. But the truth is nobody's happy when they're broke. So when you're broke, you start doing things and activities and behaviors that make it seem like this is making me feel better about maybe a little less crappy about this whole situation over here, right? Maybe I can feel a little bit better if I can lower the bar, and then we're all lowering the bar. So now it's just a lifestyle for us that the bar is lower. We're okay with that because that'll make us happy. There's two types of people that we have kind of identified. Free birds, these are YOLO, right? Free birds, you only live once, can't plan for tomorrow because we're not promised tomorrow. It's okay if I don't plan. It's okay if I have enough, right? It's okay if I'm just here. I don't need to have a lot of money. The money doesn't make you happy. So I don't need a lot of money. I would rather focus on other things. Then there's the other type, which is kind of like at the other end of the spectrum, and they're the sturdy oaks, right? They are the people who they love and thrive and they cannot deal without having stability and security. You want to talk more about them?
Well, and I think you're implying that that's me. Is that
Yeah,
what?
definitely.
I,
Yeah.
I think what it is, though, there are this. I like the word spectrum, meaning there's a range of individuals who you're right. It's about stability. It's about security. It's about you know what, I'm going to stand on. I guess it's stand on business. Are y'all still saying that now? I'm gonna stand and be able to withstand whatever the storm is coming because my roots are deep. Because I'm in a position to where, you know what, I stand behind, what these actions are because it's worked for me throughout my life. It's kind of, and it's very difficult to push me off center, right? Versus the free bird who is what again?
Sorry, I was on mute. Um,
Okay.
the free bird is used to not having doesn't need to have it all. The stuff and the things, they're not motivated by all of the stuff and the things, at least they say, right? The sturdy oak will also say not necessarily motivated about the stuff and the things, only the things that matter, right? True worth, true value, those types of things. But the truth is it's all BS. None of it exists. Everybody is afraid. They're
Right.
just coping and it just shows up differently, right? Again, based off of who we were around and how we were influenced in our programming. Some of us were programmed to be free birds, and that's how we coped with what we thought we were capable of. If you don't think that you're capable of being a six-figure earner, then you just aren't going to be, right? You're going to make whatever it is that you think that you can make and that it's okay. You're going to make that enough, and in your mind you've decided, which means you have killed off all other options. You've decided that that is not an option for you.
Yeah, and that it's that because a lot of people, I think one of the labels that I tend to receive is that quiet confidence piece,
Yeah.
and I
Oh,
think
yeah,
it's
that's a
I,
good
I,
term for you.
I
Yeah.
and I think it's because the things I know, and I stand on those things that I know. But when you push me outside of that, how stable and confident am I feeling? And I think I go back to this whole social media YouTube space, and y- you would have never told me that it was fear preventing me from moving forward.
Right.
And the only way I came to that conclusion is I had to one peel the layers back to understand what's at the root, but the other is I had to keep saying it. I would be on calls and I would just openly admit that that is what is actually at the root. And in admitting it, it allowed me to be able to put one foot in front of the other to be able to step out of it. But I had to first agree with the fact that, you know what, this is what's at the core. It's not the fact that I can't do it. It's not the fact that I'm not supposed to be here. And I share with people all the time the deciding factor for me in stepping into this space was you going, I don't believe you really want to help people.
Yeah,
And
I
and
did.
who are you to tell me
Mm-hmm.
that it is not my purpose to be able to provide assistance to those who need it? Like I know I've been tutoring since I was in 5th grade. Like
Yeah.
you're not going to tell me that at my core, at my root, it's not about me giving information. You're not going to tell me that. Well,
Well, and I'm going to slip this in here.
yeah,
I
go
also
ahead.
had the audacity to wake him up in the mornings and say, if you don't do, every time that you're not up doing a video, every time you are not working on how to get this information out, you're robbing other people of this information. And I'd be like, oh, well, that's a lot of people robbed today. And it wasn't necessarily a shaming tactic. It was more of a, either you say this is what you want to do, either you say that this is important to you, but I don't see it. Like, I don't understand what is preventing you then. That was the part for me where the seeking to understand part, there was something that was in the middle, in the way. There was an obstacle, and I couldn't understand what it was. all I could do is point out that there's an obstacle here. So let's call it some stuff. Let's give it a name. Let's call it an obstacle. Let's say there is something here. And when you're saying there is nothing there, then you go,
Right.
then how come
Right.
we haven't, stepped forward then? I'm ready. I'm ready to go. And the truth was, it was a lot like double dutch. It was a lot like when you see other people in the yard and they're in double dutch and they're jumping in and they're doing all this fancy stuff and they are having a ball, and it looks like I could do that. I want to learn to do that, right? And that part was, now I look in retrospect, I can look back, like hindsight's so 2020, right? That was exactly what you were doing. I was like, let's just get in here. If we get hit by some ropes, like I'm good with that. I'm okay with getting hit by a couple ropes. Let's just like jump in and figure it out. Let's go be a part of it. And you were like, no, actually, I'm going to study the ropes, and I'm going to mentally, I'm like calculating like when I'm going to jump in, and I'm working all this out because he's an analytical person and I'm not, right? So we just process things different. But I didn't know how to appreciate what our differences were. I didn't understand that because I was only thinking from my perspective. I was only thinking of what made sense to me. And obviously, I needed to convince him that it made sense. And if it didn't make sense to him, then maybe there was something wrong with that, right? And that, I think, is a lot of the arguments that people get into, and why they can't move a conversation, especially about money, is because like I didn't even understand where those thoughts were rooted from, right? And how problematic it was. That's what I was thinking.
Right.
So seeking to understand is not just about the other person, but it's also about you understanding where your perspective is coming from. Why do you have this perspective? Is the problem them, or is the problem your perspective? Is there a problem in both areas? And if you are wanting someone else to do the work for themselves, that independent work, because personal growth is a personal journey, it's not a couple's activity, right? If you're wanting someone else to do the work, you have to be willing to do it for yourself. That's hard, because the only person holding you accountable is you. That's it. And I appreciate that you were very kind to me when I was being I was trying to be motivating, because I knew how important it would be for people to get this information, because it was information that impacted what we were able to do, right? So it's been kind of like our mantra is, when we are feeling like, well, is this something that we have to do? Get out here and teach this stuff? No, it's not at all. We want to do it though. And the reason why we want to do it is because had somebody not had gotten out there and we had gotten access to the information, we would have been robbed of all of this.
Well, and man, I've been contemplating this because I'm hoping I don't get canceled around this, but
Uh-oh.
I do believe in gender roles, and tonight is not about
Ooh.
it's not about husband, wife, men. It's not. But when you talk about our particular situation and the fact that I do believe in gender roles, what I've come to learn, and again, this is not something that I was given. This is something that we learned on this journey, and that is, I think I understand my purpose is to create. But what that also means is your purpose is to multiply. And if we just
Yeah.
talk about how men and women biologically work, right?
Mm-hmm.
My job is to create, your job is to multiply. But the truth behind that is, if I'm a leader of this household, the best thing that a leader can do is understand when it's time to follow. Which means if your job is to multiply, if we are actually going to get to utopia, whatever that is, whatever that goal is, I got to know when to shut up and sit back and allow you to multiply. And that's like the words today, it sound easy to say, but shoot, like it is not as simple as that. And I think that's been a lot of this as well, because although when I get on calls with individuals, no one is meeting with my wife. But what you have to understand is the only reason we are meeting is because of my wife. Like it's understanding that in order for this thing to prosper and do what it's supposed to do, in order for me to create and turn this into what it's supposed to be, you have to be able to step into your space, into your role to be able to do your job. And a lot of our back and forth was around me being in your way.
Well, it was in our way, right? You were in
No
our
doubt, no
way.
doubt, no doubt,
Yeah.
no doubt.
But to your point about, and thank you for sharing that, to your point about multiplying, I don't think I saw or understood that's what I was actually trying to do. And when I was frustrated, what I was actually saying was, my job is to multiply. And if you don't give me something to multiply, if you're giving me argument, if you're giving me frustration, that's what I have to multiply. And is that what we want to spend our time on? And you're going, why choose to multiply the bad stuff? And I'm going, give me good stuff, right? Give me good to multiply, or this is what we have is frustration and anger and lack of communication. Like,
Right.
that's
Right.
what I get. That's what I got here. That's what I got to work with. And I didn't understand that at the time. But once I think we started to get on the same page, and we do have lanes for sure. One of those is in inspiring. Like, what's ironic is my issues with my vision, right? As we were going through our timeline of like all that had happened and the challenges that we had faced, I've had significant health issues, which I've talked about here. And the reason why I talk about it is because you never know, you can't control some of these things. These were not things that I caused or was exposed to. It was just something that happened in my body. And one day, and then boop, I was never the same after that. I've been dealing with stuff since. This was right after I had gotten 3 college degrees. Like, I was going into a career. This was what I really wanted to do. I had spent all this time investing in this, and then I couldn't. And it was so frustrating for me. The route that I took, I rerouted. And when I started to learn new skills, a new industry, a new way of making income, I was now an entrepreneur. That was not in the card. That wasn't on my bingo list. This was different for me, but I was willing to do it because I was driven. I had decided that I was going to not have the same results everybody I knew had. Like, I was going to be different, right? And so that's all I had decided on, though. I didn't know what exactly that was going to mean because I didn't even understand how to any of this. There's so many layers that we could peel back. This could be like a 6-hour live stream where we're trying to summarize it because our particular details don't matter. Here's a common theme, though. There were these obstacles that came in. And I'll tell you what, I've heard so many excuses from those I grew up and around from why they couldn't do something because this thing happened, because life was lifing, right? And through the challenges that I've had, there have been teams of doctors who have told me I would never be able to blank. And that was not true because I had decided that was some BS and I was not going to listen to that. Because if I would have listened to that, I would have believed it. And then I probably would have had that future. When my vision started to go, they said, oh yeah, you're just going to be blind. There's nothing we can do for you because it's, not your eyeballs. And we can't give you brain glasses, essentially is what they were saying. Like they don't exist. Well, I found somebody who prescribed me brain glasses. And not only was this helpful for my eyes, so I could at least see across the room, it was the moment when I realized that I will never allow somebody else to speak what they believe about me over my life. I will continue searching for solutions because my determination to find those solutions, whether or not they exist, maybe they need to be created, right?
Right.
That's a common theme because that's essentially what you were doing, but you were doing it in a different area or category in our household. You were doing it with the finances. You were doing it with the math, and I was just hoping to God I didn't have to do any of the math. Right? That was the win for me. It was like, thank God this guy's got good looks and good at math. Yeah, man, those math skills are looking good too. Yeah. And that's what I believed about myself, right? That I was bad at math. And as we were kind of like making notes of like, what do we share? How do we walk people through this? One thing that I really liked that I had on our little timeline was that if you believe, this is like a test of what you believe. And the reason why I'm honing down on beliefs is because what you believe, man, if you don't take inventory, you have no idea if you're believing against one of your goals.
Right.
If you're believing against your partner and what they believe is possible for the two of you, right? And those subconscious, that subconscious sabotage that happens is not even something that most people are aware of. It's like those, they're not even aware that it's happening. So you can't stop it, right? When you have no idea how to catch it. Do you want to go back to the board? Because that's where I think we're going, unless you had something you wanted to add.
Nope. That's it.
Okay. Oh, I thought I... All right. So seeking to understand yourself, your partner, but mainly like who are you partnered with, and then what kind of partner are you? So that's what
Right.
we were kind of talking through.
Right. And it ultimately always comes back. Let me come up. Sorry.
Okay, I'll
Right
post
there.
down. Yeah, we're
There we
good.
go. All right. But it always comes back here, right? And that is, what's the goal? Because this is where we're building the boat, right? Are we in the same boat? Or are we in separate boats? If we're in the same boat, are we rowing in the same direction? Like, what is the true objective? And I have my goal. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
You have your goal. Are we aligned in what those goals are?
Yeah, because
And how do we get aligned?
right, because if my goal is not to do math, and your math is looking good, you know what I mean?
Of course it is.
That could be a goal, is just that I never have to feel uncomfortable talking about this stuff. That could be a goal, and I'm just not even talking about it because it's just floating around in there subconsciously. What is the goal? What are your goals? What is it that you have in your brain that you are, all of the behavior, decisions, and thoughts that you're having are aiming towards this thing? If it's not what you want it to be, then you have to take inventory to understand where your brain is already wired to go, right? That is so important, because then if you can do this together, I'm going to sound crazy if I share some stuff. Okay, if you can do this together, this can be a really helpful tool to recenter. And we are talking about beliefs, and we're talking about how you identify. And one thing that I realized was quickly, I wish I would have brought it over, but I've shared the book before, How to Be Your Biggest Fan. Inside of that book was when I learned about something that I renamed belief identities. These are versions of ourselves that sometimes can contradict one another, but they're all tied to, like, childhood things and different versions of ourselves. Sometimes they show up when we're really the part of us, the version of us that's responsible, right? And that's a priority. Like, what's her name? The version of us that says, oh, I don't want to do that, and I can justify why I don't need to, right? What's her name? The one who is whatever the thing is, and you know that sometimes you can be strong in one area and then another day you can be completely weak in that area. We all have those. Even though we say one thing, we tend to sometimes do another, and it's because it comes down to like having to force yourself. It feels like you have a flu sometimes. Like, I just have to do something I really don't want to do. I don't know if I can label it fear. I don't know what I can label it, but I can tell you that the way I'm acting right now is not in line with what I'm saying is my goal. Well, we were going through a training, warrior training, and this particular development course had us name like our non-true person, right? We got to name this person so that every time we had a thought, every time we started to go down that normal path of how we were thinking, nope, that's not the type of behavior that's going to help us reach our goals. We could then say we could identify it as a different person, right? Well, I called my person Patricia. I call her Patty when she's being a little... And it was easier for Donnell to say then, when we would start exercising these tools that we were learning, right? He'd say, well, is that you talking right now, or is that Patricia talking, right?
And peel that back a little bit further, because around that, a lot of these, I'll call it personalities that come up, why and when do they come up, right? They
Yeah,
come up to protect.
right.
So it's almost
Yes.
like a trauma response,
Yeah.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so because they're coming to protect us from, whatever the anticipation of pain is in the future, definition of fear, because they're coming to protect us, we get lost in the fact that, what, that isn't even how I was anticipating responding. But because this overwhelming urge took over me, it kind of ended up in this space.
Yeah. So then identifying what your triggers are so you can catch it, right? The other part was I thought it was so sweet when there was one New Year's Eve where we had gone over to a neighbor's and I was like trying to be so good about what I was eating to reach my, my health goals. And I normally can't eat a whole lot of stuff. So we go over to this neighbor's house and she had this spread with like 90% of things that I could eat, and I never am in that situation. The next morning I woke up and I was like, "Oh, I cannot believe I ate all that food. Like I ate way too much. I should not have done that. Now I'm just regretting everything." And you said to me, "Sounds like Patricia had a great time last night." And then I had to ask, what was it that she needed, right? Because then we can start addressing it so that I'm not in a situation where I'm feeling like that again, right? And this may be far deeper and people probably are like, these people are crazy, but
Cuckoo.
I promise you, we're not alone. We're not doing this work alone. These weren't courses or books that we found that nobody else had read and used, right? These were tools. These are
That's the
powerful
part.
tools.
That's the
Yeah.
part. It's just a tool. That's all it
Yeah.
is.
And being able to use them. So to my point is if you're doing this together, or you're doing this as a family, the idea that you can support each other by saying like, okay, I understand that you're upset, but is it you that's upset, or is this a situation where Patty's just going off on me? And sometimes I've had to stop and ask myself like, okay, is this a situation? Okay, even if it was, right? Even if it was, this is the part that's important. And I think this is why I need to be heard in this moment right now. There have been moments where I've had to say, let's pause this conversation. I'm going to go take a minute, had to think about what is the trigger for me in this? What is the actual root of this trigger? And then come back and say, I'm having this is the trigger for me. And actually, my bad, that had nothing to do with you.
And
Look
and
at
here's
that.
but man, that's so powerful. But what we also have to go back to that disclaimer in the beginning, and that was, um, that can also be weaponized,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah, for sure.
So it's being it's I don't know, providing a space of grace and security
Mm-hmm.
and the ability to be open, and
Mm-hmm.
knowing that a statement like that won't be used against you, because it's easy to dismiss your feelings. And I'm a pro at it. It's easy to dismiss those feelings as the reason why things are the way that they are, versus actually doing the work and peeling back the layers to understand that this is rooted elsewhere. Like I'm telling you, what we're talking about here is not as simple as all you got to do is.
Right.
It honestly takes work.
Yeah.
And there's going to be mistakes made, and there's going to be um, uh, high volume, low content conversations happening. Like
But if you're
it's tough,
but if you're committed though, then they can be productive too. They
right?
can be productive
Right.
because some things just need to come out. They can be productive because when we had to start removing people out of our lives, we realized that this was us. It was just us. We were
Nobody's
all we
coming to
had.
save us.
That's right. And so, therefore, there wasn't a girlfriend to go talk to about this stuff. There wasn't a place to go vent because these people did not understand what it was that we were trying to do. Every time I turned around, somebody was trying to tell me, Angelique, you're sick. Just go lay down. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I have a mission. I have a purpose. I do not believe that that's what I'm supposed to do. No shade to anybody who that is
Right.
their life.
Right.
What I'm saying is for me, I did not believe that, but everybody around me, they heard the diagnosis. They just assumed that I was just doing too much, and that's why life was hard. That's why it would be easier if I just did less. So to your point, dismissing. But the other point, though, is that if you have a goal, if you are committed at a level where you have said it is non-negotiable, that's your decision, not anybody else's decision. And they don't have to support you in doing that. When you're doing this with somebody else and you can get them in the boat with you, then will it make the boat go faster? This is why this question is so paramount in our household. Will it make the boat go faster? You're angry right now, but we got stuff to do. Is this conversation that we're having making the boat go faster? Sometimes it is just like that. And it's like, okay, it doesn't change the fact that I am feeling some kind of way right now, but you're absolutely right. It is not going to make the boat go faster. Well, we are going to have to address this because obviously something happened here and we got to clean it up, right?
Right. Right.
We have to clean it up. And the reason why is because it's not negotiable. Us being healthy, us healing together, us having a partnership as much as a friendship, right? Like all of those things we decided were non-negotiable. And if that's true, then we're going to fix them. And the fixing yourself part isn't as easy. You can't fix somebody else, but you can seek to understand. And the best thing that we have, our beacon, right? Our North Star is the goal. What's the goal? And in that list of goals for us, what that picture looks like for us, we had to decide that there were versions of ourselves that were not serving that would not, those variables don't equal 10, right?
And on that note, because you said it fast, I just want to make sure it was clear, or at least I want to make sure I heard it correctly. And that is, there were versions of ourselves. Those versions of ourselves, at least the way I learned to deal with those versions of ourselves that may be impacting our ability to be able to hit our goal, is to thank them. Because those versions of ourselves are there for a reason.
Right.
They're there to protect us. Again,
Right.
a lot of this is out of trauma. So these versions of ourselves are there because they were put in place to protect us from whatever that anticipation of pain in the future might have been.
Right.
And when you understand that, you know what, I'm behaving this way, I'm responding this way, not because the situation warrants it. Maybe it's because it pushed a button, and my normal response in this situation is to behave like this. Once you're able to accept that and understand it, thank that version of you, and then allow them the moment or the grace and the time to step aside so that you can step forward and take action.
Yeah, this next part though speaks to the next level of what you were just wait, hold on. It's what's the goal? Is there one? Is there a true goal? That's really important. Is it the same thing for both of you? Okay, so we set goals based on what we believe about ourselves. That's the next part.
Right.
Right? So our relationship, our perception of our worth. Okay, scroll up. And these questions right here will expose a lot of that.
Well, I can't have to
Yeah,
do this.
no, it's fine. I'll come over here with you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. These questions will expose the thing, but here's the part that I think is, and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing. I know.
Dun, dun, dun.
I
Where's
know.
my button?
I'm going to share this because I think based on your age and just based off of, if we were to be having this conversation, most people would agree with us. We would use words and language and ideologies that we all grew up with, right? So that's a common thing based on like age groups, right? What was interesting was our oldest was going through something, and he came in my office one night and he was just, you could tell it was so heavy. And he goes, why can't I shake this? And when I explained to him, like, the belief identities, and like sometimes when we're transitioning into a different version of ourselves, we have to like, we're almost like grieving, right? The last version has to go somewhere. It's no longer like the number one, numero uno. And so it's almost like we have this grieving process. We might be forced to grow. And that's that leaving of all of these beliefs and the leaving of, I don't want this anymore, right? And I was explaining, I said, maybe why, I don't know, I never thought about it like this, but maybe what's happening right now is like you're feeling like labor pains essentially of like birthing a new version of yourself, right? Like maybe that's why it hurts so much. That's why it sucks so bad. And he goes, and I was like, I wonder what it's going to be, right? That was more my thought went. I wonder what this next version of yourself is going to look like. The most amazing thing happened in this, I'm going to say maybe split seconds after I was thinking that, after I had said that. He said, I'm going to make sure it's a good one. What? That was not my first thought. That's his first thought because he has tools at a different age than I did.
Right.
Right?
That's the part. He realized in that moment, split second, that he had
Split
control.
second.
He had
That's
control.
right. That's right. And that's where what you're capable of, what you believe about yourself, what you think you can or can't do, to what you were saying, you're right. What he decided was, he had decided in that moment he wasn't going to wait to see what his results would be in this next leg of this race, this next version of himself. He was going to decide what that was. And he's like, you know what? All this is making sense right now, and I'm going to make sure it's a good one. And I'll be damned if he has not soared since. We didn't have access to this information, but that's why access to information is so critical. And I'm going to pose this question. If you've been inspired by anything that we've said, if you've been inspired or felt motivated or empowered by anything here on our channel or a meeting with Donnell, whatever it is, it's a result of this work. But I asked this one question. Who is waiting to be inspired by you?
Right.
Who? How many people? If whether doesn't matter the amount of subscribers we have or viewers we have or don't, the amount of influence and the impact that we have, and we'll just keep going. But who is waiting to be inspired by you? There's somebody. How many people were waiting for Donnell to get on YouTube, right? They didn't even know that they were waiting for him to get on YouTube to make a difference. How many people are waiting on you? How many people are you robbing by not doing the work and not being willing to get out there and fulfill your purpose, step in the shoes that were made for you? And that's the question. That's the biggest question, is if you can ask yourself and you can feel good that you're not supposed to be improving, that you're not supposed to be doing better. If you can feel good about that, then hey, do you. But I bet that the majority are feeling really uncomfortable when they start asking these questions, because it means you now have to be responsible with doing something about it, right?
You now have put yourself in a position to where you are the one to be held accountable.
That's right. And be held accountable from yourself, right? By yourself. So these questions, we have this pack of questions, and these are completely different than what you're going to see up here, pretty much. But this is essentially what we had to start asking of ourselves and each other in order to be able to see how these roots were impacting results. So what does winning look like for each of you? What does it look like for your kids? What would they say? What is success? What does that mean? What does changing, if you had to do something different in order to get that result, then what does that look like? Like changing, what does that look like? Changing what it is you're doing. What are the steps? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What is the goal that scares you? Like you would not do this. You would not put this on paper because this would be terrifying for you, right?
And we talk.
Whoops, my bad.
And we've talked a lot about, vision boards, and my vision board in particular around this particular item is, setting lofty goals, or setting goals that, maybe they're outside of my even scope, my sight. I can't even see what this looks like. I just know this is what I'm shooting for or aspiring to do or aspiring to be. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, would you believe I was capable of a goal that I set for myself? If I said, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I see possible for me, would your partner not believe that were able to achieve it? If your partner said, this is something that I want to do and I'm capable of, would you be like, bullshit? No, bull. You're not. No, that's nice. Love it for you that you said that, but not going to happen. Or is that person going to jump behind you and say, get up, we got goals, right? We got something to do. You said that's what you were going to do. I believe that's possible. So let's do it. Like, we've decided, it's done. We're doing it. And I'm behind you 100% because I also believe it. So that's a good question to ask. Would you limit your vision to better suit your partner's level of comfort? So if they didn't believe, if that's not something that they were like, no, I'm not into that, I don't want to do it, I don't want to work, that's not worth it to me, the effort. But it's something that was important to you, something you thought we could have done that with our eyes closed.
Right.
But you said, no, you know what? It would make them feel too uncomfortable. So I never did it. I never wanted to push because we don't push past each other's comfort zones. We stay right where peace happens.
And what that reminds me of is I don't know where I saw this, but you and I've talked about it a lot, is when you're a 10-gallon person in a room full of 1-gallon people.
That made me cry when you shared that with me. Yeah.
It's your vision, your scope, your view is so large, but you're actually held based off the individuals around you because they just don't have that vision. It's not that they don't want it for you. That's not it. It's that they're not capable. So you have to be okay with, maybe I'm going to jump over here in this arena with these other 10-gallon people.
Yeah. Yeah, go find the people with the gallons, not the cups.
Right.
And be okay when you know that somebody only has a cup, but they're willing to fill it all the way up and still pour into you, and that is what they've got, right? Like, being able to even just recognize that. I think at one point in time you and I had different size beakers, right? Buckets, gallon jugs, whatever it is. And at different times too, right? Small, bigger or smaller of each other. But
Well, I
even
think you're
being,
being kind because, bro, I know for a fact I'm not a 10-gallon person, but you absolutely are. And I think it goes back to, um, I know I was born a leader. And what I've had to learn as being a leader is I have to know when to step back and allow, or listen and learn and absorb, and allow the 10-gallon person that you are to be that.
well, I appreciate you sharing that. I think you said something though that last night when we were going through this, that I was like, wow, you never shared that with me. And I really appreciate being able to go through these exercises because we learn about more about each other and ourselves. But you said that when we first had like our first date, for instance, and we're sitting across the table, and I was such a free bird. I was just like, you know what? I don't do things that aren't good vibes, like the news, math, all of that. Like, I'm not into it.
Credit.
Okay.
Who cares about credit?
Yeah, I was like, why do I need to know my credit score if I never plan on using it? Like, come on, doesn't that make sense? Like, why would I need to use the credit if I just don't get myself in that situation?
Bruh.
Make it make sense. So I didn't even know my credit score. I didn't care because I didn't plan on using it, right? There's no point in it. All I knew is that when people had credit cards, they got themselves in a bunch of trouble. And I was not trying to be about that life. I told you guys I was trying to be different. And so I was trying to do things the good way. And you said last night, if we were to have this conversation to find out if we were like financially yoked,
Right.
mentally yoked, I don't know what you say. But if we were sitting across the table, like, are our goals the same, right? Like, let's talk about this. Could partner wise, how is this going to work out? I love your energy. I love your free spirit. Wish I could be so free. And I'm like, I love how you just don't go with the wind, right? Like you don't, there's the yin and the yang, right? It was really
Right.
more so like that. And and I was like, I love how you love math. Like, love that for you. Love that for us, actually. Because the kids, they did not come to me for help with their math homework. If I was home and I'd be like, oh, what do you need help with? They're like, not you. We'll wait. We will wait because you'll have all the crackers out, counting them in stacks and showing us visually something that we know it's too much with you. So, also, you have to Google things, and we don't like that. So, we just rather have it done with dad. Fine, fine. That's fine because actually, I didn't want to help you. I already passed that grade. It's your turn. That's what I would say. I already passed that grade. It's your
It sucks to
turn.
be you.
Yeah. I didn't have anybody helping me with my homework. Okay, I had to learn. I had to pay attention in class. So we had very differing. So you were asking though, what would we have said if we would have known everything that we know now, and we would have been going into this relationship? Would we have judged each other differently and been like, gosh, you really don't have your stuff together? Because I think single people right now, especially single people that are single in our age, I
Right.
think they've got it the worst because
Right.
now they're aware, right? They're just like, show me all your red flags, let me count them. They're just Excel spreadsheets of like triggers and traumas. It's got to be hard to do this at this stage of the game. So you said, what'd you say?
I don't remember. Don't do that.
Okay, you
Because I don't.
said, well, I'll say it. You said you don't want me to say it.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Okay. You said what I saw was someone who was so free that she was willing to be led. She didn't want she it wasn't about control. And I had to think about that because I don't think that's what I was thinking, right? I was very independent and I don't think I was giving off like wanting to be led vibes. But the truth was, I did. I wanted to multiply. That's what I wanted to do in my heart of hearts. I just didn't have it in the my what my actions were saying about my beliefs was that it wasn't possible for me. There was single mom on single mom on single mom in my rear view, right? So why would I put myself in a position to be in that, have that future? I want to be different. So being led by a man, well, we we threw that card away like it was we don't play that card like it's a joker, right? We just set it aside because forget it at this point. But I think you're right. I think the truth, if when I could be my honest, authentic self, when I could really clear away all of the filters, all of the special features that I had to program in order to feel like I could survive and be successful, when you strip all of that down and I can just be me.
And we talked about my what do you call it, vision board, and we've talked about a lot of different things. And I think at my core, what I know about me, and again, this is hindsight because I've learned this over time, I can manifest. And when I ask for something, it tends to come to me. And what I have to be careful about is be careful of what it is I ask for. And I know I asked for you. And I know what I don't want. I do not need someone in the same room who thinks like I do. And so in knowing that, I have to be obedient to the fact that this is what I've asked for. So when we were having that discussion around, knowing the things that we know now and financially yoked and all of those kind of the conversation that we were having, the truth of the matter is you are exactly what I need. And because what I need is I need someone who can counter what it is I'm already thinking or wanting or doing. What that means is it's going to bring conflict. And if I don't know how to deal with that conflict internally, it's going to turn into something that neither one of us want. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done when you get what it is you ask for. And so I think one of the truest things about you is as strong as you are, as great as powerful as you are, as much of a 10-gallon person you are, you allow the space to be led. And I think that's why we fit the way that we do. And I think that's absolutely the part.
Yeah. And I think when you can win with other people, that to me, like, I don't like winning alone as much as I love to celebrate with others. And I think that's where, when you said, I want to teach other people, and we had the opportunity to like help other people achieve what we achieved, that was exciting for me. Not just because I wanted to, for personal reasons, see other people. It was because when I realized how much the beliefs that I was programmed with, how much of the influence and the noise that was in the background that I wasn't even aware of, I was angry. I got really angry because I realized how many people benefited off of that. How many people benefited from that noise and that programming? How
Yeah.
many people will never choose to turn that noise off or to deprogram themselves for a better future? And they will remain where they are. And it's a choice. They don't want to learn, because you can only be a victim once. Then you become a volunteer, right? So so I got angry, and that's my fight. My fight is to fix that. My fight is to eradicate that from households. My fight is to make sure that we wish we would have had this information sooner, but I promise you we're not going to let our kids wait to get it, right? Giving it to them now. And hopefully our grandkids are born without having to deprogram out of that, right? Like at some point, some generation will be born into a healthy family. But imagine if we're out here sharing this information, how many other families will be transitioning in the same way? It's incredible to think of that. But we got a world full of healing needs. So these questions, we can start at home, right? That's where we can start. These questions of what moves you, and do you have to be forced to do something, or are you willing to get out and do it anyway, even though it's hard and uncomfortable? Does thinking about being rich make you feel greedy? This is some of that stuff I got angry about, because I did feel greedy. So therefore I felt like I don't need to be rich, right? That feels selfish to be like thinking about money like that, or thinking about being a millionaire. Like I don't need to do that. I don't need all that.
And that's that part where when you start to peel that back, that's that limiting belief that was poured into you, right? Like,
Right.
how would you know?
Right. Yeah.
Like, have you
Why not?
experienced it to figure out that you don't, or that, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's that limiting belief, that where did that come from? And am I allowed to pour this limiting belief out and refill this cup with, maybe this is what I want that granddaughter that doesn't exist today to feel and experience. So, you know what? My goal is to put us in a position to where that person born who didn't even know that this was what they were being born into has the opportunity to experience.
Every drop. I will pour every drop out, because I can't imagine somebody else doing that work for me. Can you imagine if my grandmother would have done this work, thinking about me and what didn't even exist and wasn't even a twinkle in anybody's eye? That is the love that we can give forward. That is the work we can do that pays it forward, right? That's the true pay it forward right there. Okay, so also, how often do you think about how to make do with less instead of how can I make more, right?
Right.
How do I make do with less? Like, that's another one of those conditioning things that you don't get out of that loop, because you'll end up spending so much time trying to save money. That same time could have been making money, right? You could have been saving money and making money, but you'll spend way more time trying to make do with what you got than to make more. And so that's a lie. We've been sold that. Go back to 10 years in time, and what would you do different with your time? What would you do different without even knowing any information, without having been any different place? You just are you right now. What would you do different? I bet people would have an answer, but the number one response to this question is, it doesn't matter, because we can't go back. So why even think about it? The reason why we're thinking about it is because you right now are the version 10 years from now that you were for you now 10 years ago.
Right.
Did I say that right?
You got it.
Okay. So in 10 years, you're going to be looking back again going, what could I have done different? What's the work I could have done that could have had an outcome that would have been worth this last 10 years? What would I have been willing to do that I wasn't, now that I know this, that I wasn't? And those are the changes that we can start to make now. Those there. Okay, that was okay, so all of these, and including the questions that we have inside of these convo cards, and I just made these because I thought it was fun. And we didn't have a good name for them, so we called it Start the Money Convo Cards. Okay, that's what we have. All of these are questions rooted to answer the following questions if you're trying to identify what your goal is, if you're trying to peel back some layers, seek understanding, you're trying to find peace in these conversations, get on the same page to make these conversations productive, make it a safe place to have conversations. I think having a safe place to have conversations is got to be a negotiable. Even if you mess it up and you come back, that you both are committed to that in that way, that even if somebody forgets and you say, remember that part where we committed and we said that this is what we were going to do, and allow the other, we're all going to make mistakes, but we said it was non-negotiable. So we're heading north, regardless of how we steer today, we're coming back and we're heading north, right? Like that is the direction we're going. It doesn't matter. Always coming back to north. So this is how we did it. This is how we've done, and we still do it to this very day. This is not something that, oh, look at us, we're fixed.
Right.
Look at us, totally fixed, guys, with these cards. If that's not it, it's a journey. But this is essentially the questions that we ask ourselves and each other and have asked along the way so that we can be reminded of things that each other struggles with, right? We can be reminded of how they respond in a situation and go, you know what? Like that sounds just like something Patricia would say, right? That sounds just like something your version of, Patricia would say. And I can smile and go, wow, I get to see it happen in somebody else. And that grace in that moment, man, that's
And
where
that's a
I'm
key
saying,
word, grace. Like, because again, this is, I hope this doesn't come off as all you got to do is, because it is not.
right.
And to allow yourself the grace to learn, the grace to make mistakes, the grace to stumble, the grace to be wrong, the grace
Yeah.
to get it right. Like it's important. It's important.
That grace right there is when we said, what if we told you that talking about money could actually bring you closer together? It's that part right there. It's the part where you are a team and you can look at somebody because you see it differently now. And you look at that person and you go, I understand now why you're responding that way. Like I get it and I support you in what you're battling, this version of yourself right now. And I've been battling this version of myself. So I get it. It is not easy. That moment when you can just have the grace, that moment that you said, wow, sounds like Patty had such a good time last night. You didn't shame me. You didn't say like, yeah, why were you eating all that stuff if that's what your weight loss goal is, right? You didn't say, oh, is it really that you wanted to get healthier and eat healthier? Really? Because you weren't doing all that last night, right? Talking about peanut butter. Could have just had a jar. Man, I was like addicted to peanut butter for like a solid 6 months, folks. I thought I had like an infection or something that was making me crave it. I was like, wow, why can't I stop eating this? And she had like 4 different types of peanut butter. And I was just like so obsessive. It was the blackout moment, whatever. The point is, you had so much grace for me in that moment where you could have had judgment in moments when you had maybe not, your actions did not meet what you said your goals were. And I did not have that grace for you, right? And those are the moments that do bring us closer together, not just in talking about money or goals, but I think just overall having grace with yourself.
That's it.
in that moment. And for me to not carry that shame for that whole day or any day past that point, right? For me to drop it right then and there, a few words, unassigned to me. Shame does not apply anymore. Rejected. And that's powerful. And that's taking your power back. That is taking full control of your future, right? When you can unassign things and you have more control over how you feel and how you're moving and the results that you're able to achieve, and not feeling like you're limited, and understanding that, okay, this is an obstacle we have to overcome, and I'm going to figure out a way to do this. I'm going to push through. And if there's people in my way and they don't believe what I believe, then get out the way. Like, you're not tied to my outcome. But if you are trying to go somewhere and you are with somebody who is not trying to go with you, that is a conversation that has to happen. But the truth is, 9 times out of 10, they already are on board. They just don't know it yet.
Right.
We were already on the same page. We just didn't understand that we were speaking a different language about it, right? And that's why I think it's impactful, like, when we're unpacking, what does all this mean? Like, what are the tiers? What is the game that's actually being played? It kind of goes like this, right? This over here. So it comes down to your beliefs, your comfort, right? Your traumas, the amount of grit you have. And grit stands for, you want to talk about it?
Oh, I got it right here. Let me just uncover it.
Gosh, this fan is like blowing dust around here or something.
There we go. So grit,
so
growth,
itchy.
resilience, integrity, and tenacity. Oh, you gone? So ultimately, these are the kind of the pieces to the puzzle to kind of understand where you're headed and how to get there. Meaning, what is the impact of these items on your ability to be able to step forward, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so this is the part where nobody's there to hold you to it. There's no coach calling you to check in to make sure that you did all the work. You have to be willing to dig through. Now, we had help. We had courses that we went through. We had programs that we had opted in for. One of those, we were going to have him as a guest on our stream, and we should still do that for sure. We keep meaning to do that. But the point is that we were seeking information. Not everything is for everybody out there, right? So that's okay. But if you are open and you are hunting for solutions, I think Veronica said it earlier, that she was looking for something and she was seeking information on how to improve. She was already opening up that door and she found us, right? So that's just a sign that when you start to take actions, even mentally, like our thoughts become our feelings and our feelings become our actions and our actions become our results. And it starts with what's going on in here. And the only people that know is ourselves.
Yep.
The willingness to unlearn and relearn. We don't know what we don't know. And so therefore, if you don't know what you've taken in inventory, then you don't know what to unlearn. So that's part of it. Then the accountability, understanding, and perseverance. And that really is tied to that grit, right? Resilience and integrity and tenacity. That resilience piece, though, because if this were easy, everybody would do it and everybody would have amazing results. But when I tell you that I did not believe that what we achieved is possible, I honestly did not. I had to ask you a couple times, people could do this. This is okay to do. You could do this. You could leverage your house like this. You could do this. You could just do velocity banking. That's okay to have more than one credit card. I was already nervous having one. And then he's like, oh, here's your version of the card that we now have, has your name on it. And I was just like, bro, don't do that to me. Why would you put my name on a card? And took me a long time. I was so unwilling to let go because I believed strongly that credit is not a good thing. It was really difficult to let go. I'm still letting that go. When we go through the examples, sometimes he is like, okay, I see why you asked that question then, because you're looking at it like this. And sometimes it is like a switch that happens, right? And something doesn't make sense because you don't understand what's blocking the view. And as I was saying before, like what you believe can cloud up a perspective so quickly that you don't even see them coming. And it's difficult if you can't identify what they are to clear them out of the way. So all of this that we just went over, this is what comes down to our results. You either have the results or you have the regrets, right? That's it. And we just decided that this was not negotiable for us. This is something that we're going to achieve. So now that we've achieved some of our goals, we've made it our goal to help other people achieve their goals. And that's what we want to do. So you taught me this one. This was based on your vision board. So we did the vision board. We talked about that the other couple of streams ago, and how paramount, like influential this moment was, didn't even know. We had done it was my idea. I had all the crafts out. Remember, for those who are new here, I'll do a quick version. I had all the crafts out, got all the stuff, went to stickers, whatever it was. It was like Pinterest fest. Me and my friend, she's like my sister that I got to pick out for myself. We were going to sit down and do vision boards for New Year's Eve because I was like, look, I got to achieve stuff, okay? So this is what we're going to do. And put all the stuff out. And then I was like, Donnell, do you want to achieve stuff too? Because you said yes. So that means you're probably going to be doing vision boards with us, right? And he was like, okay, whatever, I guess. So I said, okay, now we're going to do them. So now let's move over here, get the vision boards done. He's like, what do you do? And I'm like, well, you put stuff that you want to do on your board so you can see it every day. That's like the whole point. Then he just like grabbed some pencils on a foam core board, and I was like, that's not how you do it. So he got the colored pencils, and I'm like, okay, but you picked a black foam core board. It's not really what you're supposed to do. And then I'm like, okay, well, it's fine. It's fine. It's your goals. It's your vision board. Like, mind your business, Angelique. Don't be judgy, whatever. Like, okay, Patricia, whatever. So then I said, okay, well, don't you want to use some stickers? Like anything? The point is that what we put on our boards, our approach to our boards were completely different. This is Donnell's board, and I thought it was so ugly. Oh my God. But he did use stickers. He was like, okay, fine. I'll just throw some on there if you want. Okay, that's good. The point is they don't have to be pretty or perfect. Mine was like straight out of Pinterest. Like I wanted to be proud of my board. I was going to look at it every day, never finish that board. And everything I put on that board was more like things I believed I could achieve, right? Everything I put on my board was based off my level of belief in myself at that time. I did not put anything on there that scared me. I did not put anything on there that made me feel uncomfortable. I put things on there that when I looked at it, I went, yes, you can achieve this. I believe it, right? And I wasn't going to try to trick myself because I didn't think that's how it worked. And it's not how it works, by the way. You could put whatever you want on your vision board, and if you don't believe it, it's not going to happen. Like belief is the payment going through. If you order something on Amazon, you can put as many things as you want in your cart. If that payment doesn't go through, they're not going to ship. And that's the same thing when it comes to beliefs. The point here is that he did the aim, fire, repeat before you're ready method. Aim and then fire. That's what he did. He wasn't ready, then aimed, then fired. That's what my approach was more like that. That's why I ended up helping him achieve what was on his board because his board was up and I saw it every single day. His board was
Go ahead.
His board was up. Mine wasn't because it wasn't done. I didn't want to look at it if it wasn't done, right? His board was up every day, and because it was probably because I thought it was so ugly, and I was just like, that's not how I would do a board. But you know what? I'm glad that he did the board. And I would look at it every day going, look at those stickers. Why did he pick those ones? It doesn't even like have a theme. Why did he pick those stickers? Like that made sense to him. Questioning like how he's making decisions in life, right? Based on like who puts those stickers together? What kind of a person does that? Like this is your dude? Like, okay. Little did I know that the whole time I was just focused on his goals.
And that's the
And
part. It is what's the goal? And then
yeah,
you said aim, and aim is this these are the goals, regardless of how lofty you might think they are, regardless of how
mm-hmm,
lofty someone else might think they are, this is the goal.
yeah.
And so now it's time to fire. It's time to take action.
What I had
Whether I'm
on,
ready or not, you know what, that wasn't a part of the equation. It's just time to take action.
yeah,
One foot in front of the other. And
yeah.
as you build that momentum, as that one foot in front of the other continues to build, doors open, things move, and stuff happens, right?
But also, the things that you had put on your board were so big, they would scare me. I wouldn't have put those on my board. But since you believed them, I was like, okay, well, then I guess that's the bar. That's where it is now. So now I believe that it's possible. You have the confidence you're going to believe. We're doing this. Like, these are your goals. So then they're my goals. So you're going to help me achieve my goals and I'm going to help you achieve your goals. That's how this goes, right? This is like back in the day, whenever it was. Okay. So this was the first thing that we did though. Dang it. I forgot to bring one over here. I'm going to go get it in a second. The point is though, it doesn't matter what it looks like. And if I would have tried to Pinterest my way through this, I would have never grown and I would have robbed myself of the opportunity to grow and to achieve goals I never would have even have ever put on my vision board because I never believed at that time that it was possible and I would have been limiting myself. The idea of having these conversations and not limiting each other based on your vision or the
Perspective.
right or the distance in your vision, right? It's being able to find your lane, where find where that person needs grace and where you can give grace to yourself. Being accountable for your part in it is important too. Realizing that as long as you're committed to the goal, as long as you're committed to the growth and to the evolution, that you're going to have bad days and that's okay. It's part of it. That all your stickers don't have to match. The point is that you got it done, right? And that was a big lesson for me in putting things out there and being able to dream so big that it's not just if I ever won the lottery, it's like, this is a non-negotiable. We're actually going to go and achieve this. I don't think that if it was left to me, I would have done that. If you were catering to my limited beliefs, we wouldn't have done it. And it took for both of us to figure out where our lanes were and where we could serve our goals, each other and our goals. And now we're trying to do that with our kids and beyond, right? So that's what we're in our community. And we're so grateful for all of you who are here with us. Like, this is the whole point. What it is that we want to do. This is the whole point of being out here, is to make sure that we have put this to work, put this into action. We have proof. Sometimes you need to see proof that something actually is a thing, right? It makes it easier to then go. If we didn't have access to information and some of the proof, I don't know that we would have taken the steps. And so we have to be the change we wish to see. We have to be the proof as well. So we get that. But who's waiting for you to be the proof? I think that's the biggest question out of all of this is, who's waiting for you? Who's waiting for you to be inspired? It could be one person, and it's still worth it, right? It could be your block. That's where it doesn't have to be millions of people. That part doesn't matter. It was a handful of people that influenced us, right? To them, we might be one tiny speck of the people, but to us, they were giants, right? Because of the impact that they had on us. And all we can do is then say, okay, let's go see what we can build with this. So hold on, let's so this is where you go. If you I should have changed that. Let's see if Justin could put it up. It's actually not this, because I just realized it didn't actually save. So you can go there after this, and I'll put it in the description as well. Here, Convo cards. Go here for sure. This works. Boom. /convo cards, and this is where you can get it just takes you to the page to download. You cut them up, and then these are the questions. So do you guys want to see the questions, or are you guys good? I'm trying to go through the comments.
Yeah, I didn't see any. I think we're good on
Okay, cool.
comment wise.
All right. So we hope that this proves to be a good tool. This is at least a starting place to like spark the conversation, right? To help with get rid of this other one. This other banner. Here we go. Hopefully this will spark the conversation and get things started, or give you guys a place to start. Some of these we were going through together, and we were like, wow, if we would have known to ask these questions, how powerful would that have been, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so well, hold on one second. Let me go get what we are giving away now, so that we can do that in just a second.
Okay. So, and as mentioned, if you're interested in grabbing those cards, please go to selfdirected.info/convo cards and grab them. And I think ultimately, once you fill out the form, we'll send them over to you. You probably have to cut them out on your own, if I'm not mistaken, so they don't come to you as cards. They'll come to you as a sheet. Then you can make the cards on your own. Let's see here.
Okay, I couldn't hear you because I had to unplug.
No worries. I was saying I think they have to cut the cards out to be able to make them.
Yeah, you gotta print it, so you can't print them this big. You gotta cut it out. And feel free to put stickers that don't match on them if that's what you want to do. Okay, so now we are, so what we've done is we've taken the concept of the boat, right? If you guys are all familiar with the boat, I think everybody who's here is pretty familiar with the boat, right? So this is here we go. We give these away because of this very empowering story that we learned about, and this has been like an anthem in our home. Will it make the boat go faster? So what we've done is we've turned this into, and marrying this with the story of the vision board. I think that's also important. We should have done this with your camera. Your camera is better than mine for this. So what we did was we came up with a mini vision board kit. Oh, also that we made USPS mad, and they won't send our Just Boats anymore. So they were going to charge us 3 times as much. And I thought, you know what? Let's just make it worth it. So now we have vision board starter kit. If you've not done a vision board before, then what we've taken is a lot of the concepts that we gone over right here on our channel. Did you put that banner back up? Because I'm just trying to keep it. I'm trying to keep it off. Thanks, Justin. Okay, so that's what we're giving away now. So there's a bunch of stuff that we have gone over on our channel, and some people we've already sent them to, and we've been getting the feedback. So just some sayings to put on your thing, on your board. Some of the imagery or images that we use here have gone over, like a mental anchor or trigger. Will it make the boat go faster? To video to the video, QR code to the video. And then just other things that you can use to put up, whether if it's on a vision board or you just put this around your office and your home, so that it will mentally trigger you like, hey, stay focused, stay focused on the goal, right? And sometimes it is really powerful to do that. So then there's other things like the boat, and there's other stuffs in here.
Goodie box.
Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff in here. So all of these things are, and I would love to hear some feedback if you have received yours. What do you think of it? Is it good? Is it useful? Is it helpful to have some of these things, especially that we talk here on the channel, just to visually be like, oh, yep, I'm right there in this moment. I remember that. I know why that's significant, and I know what that meant to me when I watched that or learned about it. Oh, and then I also put some glue dots in there because, you know, it's all about the details, and every vision board session should have stickers and fun things. And so there's some fun things in there too. Not stickers that don't match, though. Everything matches. So, goals. Okay. Lucia just said, love that for us. She did. I'm finding it. Everything matches. You will not be getting mismatched stickers for your board. Not from this camp. We won't let it go down again. Maybe we will. Maybe you
Don't
choose.
confuse camp with you.
Yeah, maybe you choose if you want to put your own stickers on there. The point is, we wanted to just show you guys, though, that I think a lot of people were like me, where they won't make one until they know what they want to put on there. They won't do it until they really have decided, right? But you've already decided what you're goaling towards. You've already decided what's negotiable and what's non-negotiable right now. You can change that, but by changing it, you have to stay focused on it because it's not programmed, right? Or you would already have those results. That's the point. It can be ugly. It can be hideous, completely hideous, so hideous that you can't stop looking at it. I mean, I think that was like a hack, to be honest.
It worked.
Because I couldn't stop looking at it, and it worked. Yeah, we nailed his board that year, and I could not believe it, like everything. And I didn't realize it until later that was actually what happened. But yeah, Jeannie, absolutely. So we are now we're gonna spin. Let me see if it works. I said I was gonna have an extra spinner up. I'll pull it up in a second if it doesn't work. Let's cross our fingers that it does, though. Okay, so if you're new here, let's play it one more time. The boat video. This is what set in for us and why this became so meaningful inside of our community, but mainly inside of our home. We know that asking this question, which is said to be a one-sentence solution, can be a powerful anchor thought that can just pull you back, almost like a boomerang, back into the moment to stay focused on your goals. And here is why. If you're not inspired by this, then I don't know. Yeah. Here's why we play this, and here's why we give away the boat. In 1998, a British rowing team dreaming of the Olympic gold found themselves ranked 7th. Their focus had always been on the competition day, but they realized the keys to reaching their highest potential were hiding in the decisions that they'd make over those next 2 years.
Faced with two obvious choices, continue their current path and expect the same result, or give up, they discovered a third transformative option. They united under one guiding question: will it make the boat go faster? Every decision, every action was weighed against this mantra. If the answer was yes, they could or would have to do it.
If the answer was no, it was forbidden, non-negotiable. Prior to the competition, this team was doubted and ridiculed, but no one knew what they had been doing. And once they hit the water, they were nearly unrecognizable, achieved their pinnacle, and won the gold. So we ask you,
What is your goal? What are you willing to do to achieve it?
will your story feel unrecognizable, even to you? Are you willing to light your beacon and stay focused, stay committed? Is your story non-negotiable, or are you waiting to find out how you ranked? Your financial future is not a game. You are only competing with yourself and those in the boat with you, your family, and the many generations to come.
Will this make the boat go faster? A sounding alarm, a beacon of clarity amidst turbulent life decisions.
It's not just about speed, but direction, purpose, and an unwavering commitment. Every choice, every sacrifice aimed at the goal.
The first agreement this team made was to become fully self-directed, making their health their wealth, adopting a new perspective on their time and freedom, and the decisions they could fully control to reach their goal.
Will we make your boat go faster? That is our pledge to you. Our mission is to arm you with knowledge, strategies, and insights to ensure that not only you reach the goal, but you do so long before your race is over. Okay, well, I don't see names coming in.
Yep, not on my end either.
And matter of fact, oh, okay. Let's see if we can get it to work. If not, we're just gonna have to pick somebody because it's that important, right? No. All right. We're just going to pick somebody.
Go
'cause
for it. I
that's what we
picked
do.
Sunday. You
Yeah.
go and grab some.
Let's see if this new one will work. Oh, it says prize.
Ah, got names populated.
Maybe that's why it wasn't working, because it said pick prize. Type hashtag boat. Okay, well, they did already, so. Aha!
Spin.
Ha! Fixed it. Who is it? Let's make it big. Who's winning? Hey, Scott! Well, he hasn't gotten a vision board yet, so that's the good news. Gosh, I wish we could give away a lot of these, but... Okay, Scott, if you have... Send us your information. Well, we already have your information, so I'll write it down that we already have this. Well, we could give away one more, right? Because...
Yes, go for it, sweetheart.
Yeah, I want to, because now the wheel's winning. The wheel is winning. The wheel is spinning.
Watch
Oh,
Scott
I
wins
see
another
some
one.
new names in there too. That's exciting. Lucinda! Guess what, Lucinda? We love that for you. Congratulations. All right. Well, that's good. If you've... Dang it, I always forget to put that banner up. It's in the description below, but if you go to... That is not it. Hold on, let me find... Dang it. Go to selfdirected.info/live or /winner and fill out the form so that I know who to send it to. So that's what you need to do. Okay,
Let's go there. There we go.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you. Okay, so we have not had a bunch of time in the chat today, which is normally I spend some time in the chat, but I've been seeing your comments come in, and we love to watch back and read the chats. That's why we leave it open, so we can see what you guys put in there and what you're talking about, and anything else that we might have missed comments wise that gives us the feedback that we're looking for. We hope that what we're doing is we're serving in the way that we know how, in the way that we feel that we're supposed to serve, and the work that we're supposed to do. We know that if it's been beneficial for us, it can be beneficial for everybody else. But first, the root of it all is that you have to believe that it's possible. We didn't understand when we first embarked upon a journey that this was actually like the obstacle in our way was our own beliefs about what was possible. Now that we understand that that is the number one obstacle, now that's what we can actually battle, is what we believe, right? That's the part that it's a different level of achievement to be able to actually change your beliefs about yourself, about what you're capable of. And you just may be surprised at what you actually will be able to achieve. Things that you would never have believed possible before, and in a short amount of time. So we hope that this inspired you. Again, I will leave with this question. Who is waiting to be inspired by you? And that if that's not enough, that your kids, your sister, your parents, your neighbor, right? Your best friend, whoever it is, you may be the proof that somebody else needs that will unlock those doors so that they can achieve too. Got anything else you want to add?
Nope, let's get out of here.
All right. So congratulations to those who won the boat. Please come back, fill out the form, and let us know where to send this vision board starter kit. Let's see. Comes looking like this. Gosh, this is loud. Okay, that's how it comes. And don't forget to download your conversation cards. We don't have any better thing to call them, so that's just what they are.
Oh God, I like it.
It was like, this sounds awesome. And then there's this, and you can...
We got a
get
whole
them
store full of made up stuff. So I'm telling you, combo cards works.
We do. Visually, though, I'm a visual learner, but it's also important that I have visual anchors to anchor me back to my goal and help me stay focused. So I hope that those help you. We love your feedback on them at any time. So thank you so much for tuning in. We know that time is the most valuable asset that we have, and we are so grateful that you're spending it here with us. We like to end with, if you didn't come from a wealthy family,
You can make sure a wealthy family comes from you.
so stay tuned,
Stay protected,
stay focused.
stay connected.
I'm Angelique,
And I'm Donnell.
and our goal is to help you.
Get self-directed.
And to do that, we have a ton of resources, and we're adding more all the time. So don't sleep on those. We'll be back here Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We hope to see you then. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Have a good night. Hey, before you go, we want to remind you that becoming fully self-directed means gaining complete control over your wealth, time, and freedom. It's not just an idea. It's a framework, a mindset, and the power to make informed decisions to secure your future. Being here means you're taking those steps, and we want to thank you for allowing us to guide you. We believe that we grow farther and faster when we grow together. So tune in next time and tell a friend to tell a friend. We've helped thousands of people just like you start their journey to financial freedom. And if they can do it, you can too. And if you're ready to learn more, we got you. Get a head start by grabbing these 2 free books. But how do they get them, Donnell?
Head over to my website where you'll have access to a few things. A ton of free resources, case studies, and over 100 5-star reviews from people just like you. And in 15 minutes, we can explore what's possible for you. So don't wait.
Invest in what you want, when you want.
But first, let us help you get
Get self-directed.